Hi, I'd like to do a little demonstration of this Troop Finances tracker that I'm working on creating. So there are three sheets, and the first one is this budget categories. This is helpful in two times. First of all, at the beginning of your program year, or even before your program year starts, you sit down with your board and you decide what expenses you're going to have and how much you want to apply to them, what income you'll have, and then I have these separated out because, like in our troop, any money we bring in for handbooks, we also spend on handbooks. We're not actually making money. All of our income really comes from troop dues and fundraisers to pay for all of these expenses. So now there are some instructions over here, and you can see the top one, yellow cells are the ones you should type into. So you can see all of these yellow cells. You can go here and put in your projected membership for the year that you think is going to be. And then you can also go in here and change any of this. For example, we have more people, so I think the welcome back picnic is going to cost more. And as you change this value of the total projected income minus the total projected expenses is also going to change. So I can see, for example, we still have some more money we can spend. Let's say we're going to pay for 3 service stars per girl this year instead. I changed this to 3. And you can see this value here is based on, this is not in yellow because it's based on the number of people, which is actually my total girls minus Pathfinders, since Pathfinders don't earn service stars, times the number of stars the troop pays for, times the amount that we budget, which is $1 to have a little bit of a cushion for shipping and handling and taxes. And when we do that, that's what gives us this 147. I'm going to undo that though. Now, let's say in your troop, you just pay for all service stars, and historically it's about $200 a year. You can just overwrite a formula. If you do that, I would recommend that you change the fill color to yellow so that you know that that's been overwritten and that's a value that you typed in yourself. So I'm going to undo that as well. So as you change around, for example, we do unit supplies per girl. You could overwrite that. You can increase that. I've increased that. Now I'm too much. So, we say, you know what? We don't want to pay for all of leaders. We're only going to pay for half of leaders, and et cetera, et cetera. You can change things around as you go. You can also add, items here. So maybe you pay $50 in postage every year. You can add more rows if you need them. There's instructions on how to do that. And you can print this page. Maybe you want to print it for your parent meeting. There's instructions on how to do that without having these instructions show up. Then the other reason this sheet is important is as you go through the year, this is your budgeted amount, but does that compare to what you're actually spending? For example, right now we've only spent $78 on the welcome back picnic, though we have $22 still to spend. Versus the he and me, we've actually gone over budget on that by $6. So this is a nice way to see how you're comparing to your budget. So where is this information coming from? That's from this other sheet, the transactions sheet. I've set this up as a single entry accounting method where this is going to mimic either the line item in your charter's budget for you or your troop bank account if you're allowed to have one. So it looks very similar to a check register in which you also have this category amount, and these category values, if you click the drop down, all of these values come from this budget categories. Now, one thing that's really helpful that I want to mention in these helpful shortcuts, this one here, click on the green down arrow. All of these headings have this down arrow, which is a filter. And this has been turned on so that you can click on that. It shows you all of the categories in that column, and I can turn off all of them except for girl registration and leader registration, and then click OK. And now I can see, let's say, for example, my numbers seem off. So now I can, or maybe I want to see, did I pay for somebody or whatever. Now I'm only seeing those out of all of the transactions. These are the only ones showing up. You can always tell if there's been a filter applied because the down arrow turns into a little funnel icon. Now to get it back, you just go to select all and choose OK. This is also really useful on the reconciled column if you want to reconcile this to your bank statement, because here I have these splits here. And obviously these are not going to show up on your bank statement because all of these are part of this deposit. You can see how my my account balance didn't actually drop because they're all part of this balance. So I don't want to see all these when I'm comparing it to my bank balance. So I'm going to take those off. And now I can reconcile all of this. These are the things that should show up on my bank balance. And I can turn it on again very easily like that. Okay, now let's say you say, okay, this looks great. I want to start using this. You need to get rid of all of my sample data. So I'm going to highlight all of this and hit delete or backspace. And most of it's gone, but this is not good. This split group is supposed to, I typed these values in instead of them being formulas. So I'm going to go on this dashed where I still have my formula, and I'm going to go to this blue square and then click and drag down over all of those numbers. Okay, now I have a completely blank register and I can start typing in. Anything that's yellow, remember anything that's yellow you can type into. So you can do your starting balance, change that to whatever you want it to be. And maybe the beginning of the month you had your welcome back picnic. So, and then you paid back Susan with check number 101. Went to Susan, and that was for the welcome back picnic. If you start to type it, it'll pop up. Use the down arrow, or you can click on it with your mouse. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, my computer does this where sometimes it just reloads. No, why did you do that right now? Okay, so here we go. So I've started typing welcome back. I use the down arrows or click on it, and then I use tab to keep going. This was for food. Memo, you can write in anything you want. And this was for $72. And as I do that, now you can see I have a new account balance. Now, what if it was a deposit? And you can do today's date. I deposited something with control semicolon gives you today's date. It's telling me fill in the description and check. I'm going to put a deposit. And this went to US Bank. Now, this was after our registration night last night. So this is a lot of categories. And so this is how you do the split. Instead of picking one category here, I'm going to use the split category. And you see now it's telling me fill in the deposit or payment amount. And I'm going to do a deposit of $1,500. And then the final thing you need to do here so that it tells you overwrite the orange split cell group. So I'm going to type 1 to overwrite that. And now it says assign 1,500 more to split categories. So I'm going to do today's date again. And you know what? I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to paste it here. And I'm going to, I should have copied this too. So this is a split category. And now I want to do this is girl registration. And $1,300 was girl registration. And again, it wants me to overwrite this. And it tells me I still need to assign $200 more to something. So I'm going to pick split here again. And this was handbooks. And I did $80 in handbooks. Oh, and I also need a date. Sorry, it doesn't like it if you don't have a date. So I'm going to type 1 here. Now I have 120 left. So finally, today's date. And this is split again. Now, one thing I want to mention, let's say I start doing uniforms. If you hit tab without selecting that, you see it says unif, that's not what I want. And it says invalid because it says that's not something. So I need to actually click on that or use my down arrows to select that. And this is 120. And one more time, I need to overwrite this to say this is all part of it. And then sure enough, this is my new bank account balance and it doesn't go down or up anymore because these are part of this one. So I hope this helps. There are a number of this, there's a lot of empty ones. This won't be enough. So I have instructions here on how to add more columns. You leave this row blank and you leave this row blank. Then to add more, you pick a bunch, you pick insert rows above. Then you need to pick these ones here and drag them up. Whoops. Okay, I'll just drag them up really far to fill in that amount again. So I hope this helped. and let me know if you have any questions.